The Tender Bar is an Amazon original film based on a true story and based on a memoir by J.R. Moringer. The screenplay was written by William Moynihan, and it was notably directed by George Clooney. Here's the official synopsis. A boy growing up in Long Island seeks out father figures among the patrons at his uncle's bar. It was a really good movie that I definitely enjoyed watching. It stars Ben Affleck, which steals the show in my opinion. He was dope in this movie. And he's kind of an underrated actor, I think, Ben Affleck. And that's probably not a popular opinion, but he definitely plays that, when he plays, he plays a specific type of character, in my opinion. Like that confident, sure of himself, kind of a dick, but doesn't give a fuck and is well-intentioned type of character. You know what I mean? Like, it was a similar type of character in this movie, in Good Will Hunting, and, you know, even his Bruce Wayne portrayal in Batman, Argo, etc., etc. I feel like he plays that similar type of role, but he plays it really, really well. Christopher Lloyd is also in this movie. Always great to see Doc Brown. And Ty Sheridan is in this movie. He plays the main character, JR, the main character after he's grown up, because it's kind of a coming-of-age story. And while I was watching, I was like, where do I know this dude from? And I'm watching the movie, it's going along, and then it finally hits me. It's the dude that plays Wade Watts, the main character of Ready Player One. So the movie's essentially about this kid that's growing up with a single mom who is hardworking but struggling to keep shit together, moves back into her father's house, which is played by Christopher Lloyd. The mom is played by Lily Rabe, who's played a great role as well. And it's where the uncle, which is the mom's brother, played by Ben Affleck, Uncle Charlie, where he lives as well. And the kid's father, played by Max Martini, is a deadbeat dad. He's a disc jockey on the radio, on local radio, and apparently he used to hit the mom, and it's part of the reason why they split up. And he was just a deadbeat dad. But a young boy, being a young boy, you know, always is in search of their father. And whenever he would like sneak away whenever he could to like turn the radio station on to like hear his dad on the radio, since he barely had a relationship with him. But whenever the family would be together and the father's voice would happen to come on the radio, like somebody, either Uncle Charlie or the mom, would definitely like change the station or like get pissed off. So that's why the kid would like sneak away whenever he could and try to listen to his dad. Uncle Charlie owns a bar that I believe is like nearby or down the block or something like that. But he owns a bar called The Dickens, aptly named because he's really into the classics and loves reading, and he has like closets full of books. And I like this character because he was very direct and supportive of JR, the young JR, and the older JR. But definitely in the beginning, we see he tries to fill in the role of that like father figure, that male figure in his life. Like there's a scene in the beginning where it shows the kid, you know, tossing a ball in the backyard, and the uncle pulls him aside later on in the house, and he's like, listen, I've seen you playing sports and you're not really good at it. Why don't you find another activity that you enjoy doing that you might be better at? And that's when the kid tells him that he likes reading, and then the uncle like introduces him to like all his books and stuff, and he said you can take any book you want to read whenever you want, and if you read enough of these, maybe one day you can be a writer. That's when that seed gets planted in the kid's head that he himself can be an actual writer. And the uncle tells him that, you know, he can always count on him to be there for him, and that there's two main rules. He'll never let him win, like whenever they play, you know, any games, like they used to go bowling and, you know, playing any games in general. He said he's never going to let him win, and also he's always going to tell him the truth. So he's like that voice of honesty for the kid as, you know, he's making his way through life. And the mother's claim to fame is that come hell or high water, she's going to make it so that her son can go to law school. And she's like, I have no idea how, but I'm definitely gonna make it happen. And spoiler alert, he makes it to Yale. He goes to Yale. And there, you know, he goes through school, continues to visit home every chance he got, hang out at the bar with his uncle and his uncle's friends. He always gets like life advice from his uncle, advice on girls. And there's this one girl in particular named Sydney, played by Brianna Middleton, who is a rich girl that he's super into, and she's into him, but not as much as he's into her. They wind up having like this toxic relationship where she's pretty much using him just to get laid every once in a while, then like fuck with his head, and he's like head over heels for her. And, throughout his life, he still has this like absentee father that, he has seen sporadically throughout his life that's always let him down. And he tries to eventually pursue a relationship with him. But in doing so, he meets up with his dad and sees how, he's an alcoholic. He invites him to his house and he sees that he has another wife that puts up with all his shit and he hits her. And they have another daughter together. And it's kind of a moment where he finally stands up to his father and also comes to terms with the piece of shit that he is. Winds up calling the cops on him and standing up for and protecting his new wife. What I liked also about the movie is that it made me think of my time working at bars. Because back in the day, I would say from 16 through 20, maybe 21, definitely 16 through 20. I worked at bar/restaurants, 2 in particular. And I worked as a waiter, I worked as a bartender, I worked as a busboy, worked in the kitchen, as a dishwasher, the whole 9, went through the whole gamut. But I definitely forged relationships there that I have to this day. And like the bar scenes definitely reminded me of that, with not just the bartender played by Ben Affleck, but like the regulars and the interaction with the folks and how like the regulars and the people that work at the bar kind of hang out outside of there, but also in there, obviously. And how those types of relationships are forged. And it just made me reminisce a little bit about those times. So that was pretty cool. One of the lines that I really appreciated that underscore the whole, romantic storyline of the writer, that goes off to try to do different things, but ultimately chases the dream of becoming a writer. And one of the lines from the movie is that you're a writer when you say you are. I definitely appreciate that sentiment. And at the end of the movie, after all like his girl trouble and graduating college, and he winds up graduating college pretty much to fulfill his mother's life goal dream for him, but then is done with that and done with chasing his father's validation and done with the headaches with the girl, goes off to really pursue his dream of becoming a writer, or being a quote unquote real writer. And in that moment, his uncle, again played by Ben Affleck, Uncle Charlie, winds up giving him what seems to be his prized possession throughout the film, which was his car at the end. And it was a dope moment because that was, again, like his prized possession. And he's always told JR, like throughout the movie, that you always need a good car and you always need money in your pocket. And, he rationalizes that in like different ways throughout the movie. But essentially, you always have money to take care of yourself, money in your pocket, and also a car so you can get out of and leave any situation that you're in if you ever need to. And in that final, or in those final moments of the movie, he winds up giving him his car. And it's kind of like, this will mean more to you now than it does to me, even though it means a lot to me. It's like that type of moment. So it's pretty cool. I love movies about writers and writing in general. So if you're into those kind of movies or just want to watch a cool flick, a nice coming of age story, definitely check it out. The Tender Bar, streaming now on Amazon.